All right. Have you ever awoke at night with a cold sweat saying to yourself, what in the world is epic banana and extra bacon?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Iain Thomson is here to tell you what that dream of mine meant. Welcome, Iain.
Hi there, Jason. Good to speak to you again.
Good to have you back. All right, so that was actually
weird dreams, man.
I know, I've got strange dreams. That was actually a very horrible setup, so I'll go ahead and try that again. There have been developments in the NSA vulnerability and hack story that we had you on to discuss this Monday, but before we get to the part that involves Cisco, then on Monday, you were somewhat doubtful of the veracity of the news then that we knew. Are you more convinced now that it might have actually happened, or still kind of on the fence?
I'm about 80% convinced at this point. I know on Monday I did describe it as bollocks, but I now think that there might be something in this. The fact that people have gone through it and found workable exploits that we didn't know about. We've also been chatting to Kaspersky, who are the original experts on the Equation group, and they seem pretty sure that the code that they're seeing matches up with the kind of stuff that the Equation group was doing. So yeah, at this point, I'd go 80%.
All right.
It's hard to admit that you may have been wrong, but I'm a man of my word on that sort of thing. Sadly, no hats to be eaten, but no.
We've got plenty of hats around here, right? The app cap.
Good.
We've got lots of app caps that you could probably eat if you wanted to, if you're hungry. Now, also, you said that some are claiming that the link could have actually been an inside job. Is that I mean, how much of a possibility would that be?
I've seen a couple of reports on it. Well, I mean, after Snowden, inside job leaks are one of those things that the NSA is going to have to deal with. Although I suspect they're cracking down an awful lot and making sure that absolutely nobody has access to the kind of information that he had. I've seen a report that it may have been a leaker, but I got to say I think it's more likely that what we've got, what they've managed to hack into, is an old command and control server. And the stuff that's in there isn't particularly current. So I think, to be honest, it does look as though the command control servers have been gone into. Their contents are being copied, and as you mentioned, Edward Snowden, he has, of course, chimed in and said that this is a warning to the NSA from the Russians, saying basically don't try and retaliate for our hack against the Democratic Party's servers. Otherwise, we will out you as being behind some major hacking incidents by exposing your tools.
Oof.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times a lot of people take what Snowden says as just like, oh, he's Edward Snowden, it must be true. But
Yes.
but in this sense, it seems like that's likely. And so basically we can boil it down to, like, he's saying, we have some pictures of your sister, so stop messing with us or we'll post them somewhere.
I think that's right. And I mean, there have been commentators in the US calling for the NSA and others to actually go and hack Russian politicians and expose all their dirty deals. I think, if they did that, that would be a very, very dodgy move in terms of rules of war. But yeah, I think there is sense in what Snowden is saying, that this could be a shot across the bows for the NSA. That said, he has been out of the loop for quite a while, so it's not certain, but he knows more about this stuff than most people. So if he honestly thinks that's the way it's going, then also quite gutsy of him to say it, considering who his landlords are at the moment. But
yeah, fair enough. Good point.
So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how Cisco comes into play. I think this news kind of broke more yesterday, but what's Cisco?
Yeah. Basically, well, when the export list went out, myself and other journalists got in contact with Cisco because they were their products were actually included in the archive. And I know the Cisco Talos team quite well, and they were spending sort of burning the midnight oil going through this stuff. And they found two vulnerabilities which contained within the archive with rather silly names, as you pointed out. Now, one of these vulnerabilities they've actually known about and had a patch out for since 2011, which does sort of, this is one of the reasons why I'm slightly iffy about the archive. If it's got patch stuff from 2011, admittedly, not everyone patches their firewalls as well as they should, but, it's still a very old bit of stuff. But the other was complete 0 day. And so they've issued the patch for that now. And the fact that it's actually quite a serious one as well. I mean, you've got to have insider access to the network to activate it. But once you do, you can run whatever you like on the Cisco, within the Cisco environment. So it's important if you are running Cisco Kit, get patched now, because this exploit is out there and malware writers are already writing code to exploit it. But the fact that there was a 0-day in there that Cisco themselves weren't aware of is potentially worrying on two levels. One, it does indicate that this was a hacking toolkit. But two, if it was, and if the Equation Group are getting their information from the NSA, it means that the people entrusted with keeping American computer equipment safe sat on a 0-day and did nothing with it, and didn't inform the manufacturer, didn't try and patch it. Now, there was an interesting talk at this on DEF CON a couple of weeks ago, the hacking conference, and a State Department insider said that about 91% of the 0 days that the NSA discovers, they inform manufacturers about. Now, this obviously wasn't one of those. It was one of the 9%. But it does make you wonder how many 0 days they're sitting on and how much it's putting everyone else at risk, not getting them fixed.
No kidding. And just I have to imagine if there is a 0 day that they were sitting on, they were compelled to do that by the NSA, right? That kind of has to be the case.
Cisco didn't even know about it. That was the thing. Basically, somebody discovered this 0 day and then sat on it and did nothing with it. So if this stems from the NSA, and judging from the silly names, it's likely to, then it means that this was a 0 day which they're just they weren't prepared to fix, and they were quite happy to carry on using. And who knows who else found it? This is the problem with keeping these things quiet, because it might sound good. Oh yes, we can spy on people using this, but other people are going to find it if you did, and they're going to use it in exactly the same way. So it becomes whether or not you're thinking about offense or defense in this mode.
Yeah, I guess that was one of my big questions, is just the fact that there are tons of super smart hackers in this world. And, the NSA, at least in this case, had some sort of a discovery method that allowed them to find this thing that nobody else had found. It's hard for me to think that with all of the smart hackers out there who are constantly looking for things, that only the NSA was ever able to find this one vulnerability. Like, that just seems too far-fetched for me to believe.
Oh, yes. If something like this exists, then people will find it.
Right.
It's kind of like the argument discussion that we've had in the past about encryption. It sounds like a great idea. Build a flaw into the encryption so that law enforcement can always break it. But anyone can find it if it's there, and particularly if you tell people it's there. And it's the same in this case. If we've got serious 0 days, such as this Cisco thing was, it's, I would think, more logical to patch it and to let the manufacturer know so that they can patch it, which makes everyone safer, rather than just keep it hanging around, because, as you say, someone else is going to find it, someone else is going to use it. And the fact that an awful lot of networking gear is made out in China, and they have access to sort of source code on a lot of things, that would make me really nervous if I was, as a computer user, knowing that my own government was keeping this stuff from me.
Mm-hmm.